Hey everyone, it's Dawn here, and I figured I'd take a break from all of this RV motorhome work to talk about the big crash that happened yesterday between Ryan and Roger. We were on our last Sunday of the month ride, and Ryan was, they both took off at the light. I was actually, you see it in the video, I was actually lined up with them at the light, and I got a bad feeling, not really a bad feeling, but just a feeling. So it's like, I'm thinking, oh, should I join in? I usually do, but this time I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. So I backed off, but I stayed behind them. So I was behind them when it happened. And yeah, Ryan decided to carve. I don't know if that was a conscious decision that he made, but he did. He actively carved. It wasn't a bump or anything. It wasn't a machine failure or anything. It was, he decided to carve, and he turned to the right and basically just took out Roger. So this is a big impactful crash, and so I thought we should have a little chat about it, because the best thing about crashes is they teach us things, and it's always better to learn from other people's mistakes than your own. I mean, you got to learn from your own mistakes as well, but yeah, if you can learn from other people's, then that's even better. So let's learn about this. What is there to learn? First off, be aware in a group ride situation. And either one of them could have been more aware of each other and stuff. Ryan definitely, if he was going to go to the right, needed to physically check, and not just in a mirror. And he didn't have any mirrors on, so he didn't have any mirrors. He didn't physically check, and then he changed directions quite drastically. It was a high-speed carve. I'm already not a fan of really aggressive carving in group rides, because, in group rides, we're all so fluid, we're all moving around each other, and if someone's acting erratically or really swervy, taking up the whole lane or taking over, several lanes or all that, it makes it difficult for everybody else. It's just unpredictable, erratic. It's hard to anticipate. It's hard to decide, how to get past them and all that, and what they're going to do. When you're around other people, you want to be as predictable as possible. Or or move slowly so that other people can react and get out of the way if anything was to happen, right? So this was high speed, not a lot of time for a lot of reaction, and then it was erratic and unpredictable. Then let's see what else. I do want to go over safety gear too, what we can learn about that. I guess that's so much on my mind right now. Let's go ahead and talk about that, and then we can cycle back to everything else. Ryan and I actually talked about not wearing gear that ride. It was more of me bringing it up as a lighthearted thing, because I usually always wear gear for group rides, but it was so hot. So what I do when it's so hot is I still gear up, but I wet myself down so that when we are going, the wind will trigger the evaporative action, and it'll cool me down, and it actually feels great. Ryan was wearing this, I don't know how you say it, a baklava, where it's like this one piece thing that goes over your whole head, and it's black, and it covers like your whole head, and then across your, like this, and then it comes down, and it's black. And when I saw him pull that over his head, I was like, oh my gosh, you're going to die. I said, take that and soak it in water, and then wring it out, and then put it on. And he tried that. He was like, oh, thanks, that was so much cooler, because he was wearing all black and he was wearing full gear. But I was like, oh, it's so hot, I don't even want to wear gear. And then he was joking at me, and he was like, well, if you don't wear gear, then I won't wear gear. And then we're like, but if we wear gear, then we can play harder and stuff like that. So anyways, we always wear gear, so we did that, and it was a good thing we chose to wear gear. But let's see, what else? What else happened? So after the crash, it kind of ended. It kind of ended that group ride, and that's something to keep in mind too. That the actions of one affects everybody else. So even though it affected Roger the most, because he's the one that got taken out, it affected the rest of us. I decided to go with them back. Roger's wheel was just twice while he was just sitting on his wheel after the crash, and then it decided to just shut off and it fall over, and he almost fell off with it, but I think each time he caught himself, so he didn't. But that was concerning. And then there was a question of would it do that while he's trying to ride it back to the cars. So I decided to go back with them. Who else decided? I know Celeste decided to turn back and come with us back to the cars. I think it was just the three of us, and then Celeste came over. But then after that, Celeste decided to go back to the group and rejoin with the group, and then the whole rest of the people came back. So everybody came back. So it kind of ended the ride for all of us. But I mean, it's, on one hand, it's because we all love each other, so it's fine, and we're all supportive of each other. And then on the other hand, it kind of sucks that our last Sunday of the month, right, got a little detoured, right? Ryan is an extremely skilled, talented writer, very talented, and he's just young. He's new to the scene, and he's just young and hot-blooded, I guess. But he is doing everything right. I mean, he's reviewing the videos. Oh, that's the other thing. Videos are great to have. We had lots of videos for this crash. Chris Torina had his Insta 360 going, and he was right behind, so he got the whole thing. He's been posting up all of his videos. Ryan had his Insta 360 mounted to the front of his Commander Pro in like a unicorn fashion, right out the front, and it's sticking. So he gave that footage to Roger, and that's the video that Roger put up of that viewpoint. And so the videos are incredibly helpful because we get to analyze all the points of the crash. Video, very, very, very helpful. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it's so hot in here. What else? The videos. We all came back. Injuries. I was talking about how good Ryan was being. Ryan did hit a car and did damage the car, and we looked around for a piece of paper and a pen, and he wrote down his information. He is in contact with the car owner, and they are going to make it right. Ryan is going to make it right with the car. Roger's wheel didn't impact a car. His wheel actually went in between the car, so it's super lucky, and then ended up just in the space between the cars. So that was fine. And but yeah, the car is getting taken care of. Ryan is going to go to the doctors today or something. Roger is he's hurt, but he's strong and he knows how to take care of it. But yeah, it was a major crash. So one of the things that really came up with this crash is feet protection. One of Ryan's shoe completely came off of his foot, and whenever you see that, you know that your foot protection is not adequate at all. And Roger has an injury to his right heel that is kind of severe. I don't know, I'm trying not to get too personal, but I do want to talk about the injuries so that we know the importance of and what we can do about it. So if you watch, I made a whole video about foot protection, and I still stand behind that video, so you can watch that. But these are the boots that I chose. They're kind of construction boots, and these are actually discontinued, but you can find boots like this. So the key points is that it has a lot of padding. It is made for shock absorption. It is made with a high, I wanted as high of a top as I could to protect my ankles. I wanted all of the padding, and it's a man's boot, so for me it's so roomy and big inside that I can fit 2 insoles in there. And that did I say steel toe construction? Steel toe construction. There has been several crashes where toes and bones in the feet get destroyed and broken. So, you know, as much protection as you can get is good. But I put 2 insoles in here. One insole is the footprint insole that is really good at absorbing a lot of shock. And the other one is an insole that feels nicer to me when I'm wearing it, because the footprint isn't comfortable for me. So I have a nice shock absorbing comfort one on top. I have the footprint that is not so comfortable but excellent shock absorption, and then the rest of the stuff on the bottom, all of this big rubber sole, and it's kind of worn down now, but it has a lot of tread for anti-slippage and stuff, because my other thing is I don't want a smooth sole that if I have to do an emergency step off, it's so smooth underneath, I'll just slip and lose my balance and twist my ankle on top of everything else. This one has such a nice tread, and it's so secure that I feel secure in it. And I have had 2 over 55 mile an hour cutout crashes. So when it comes to crashes, these have definitely been crash tested a lot. Like the big street crashes, and then lots and lots, countless other little crashes and dirt crashes and stuff like that. And these boots have been amazing at protecting me. So I recommend a boot like that. What about motorcycle boots? I know everyone always raves about the motorcycle boots, but the motorcycle boots are not made for impact protection as much. It's made to protect your feet from your pegs, your motorcycle pegs, from impaling, and also the slide. And it usually has a smooth sole, and it's not meant for walking in. So I find them uncomfortable to walk in, and I don't know. It's for me, I don't prefer it, and I think I go into a lot more detail in my other foot protection video, but yeah, these ones have been, to me, great. So I think having the footprint insole that absorbs a lot of shock would have helped both of these riders in their crashes protect against the heel contusion. And also Ryan crashed into the car feet first. And so that's kind of a good thing. At least it wasn't head first. It wasn't spine first, ribs, you know, it's like all of these soft things. It was legs first. I mean, his legs and feet are messed up now, his calves and his feet. But and if he had some shock absorption in his boots, they could have helped a little bit. You know, every little bit helps. Like, go back and watch the videos on how Roger crashed. Roger is like the best at this. I had never seen anybody else crash like this, but consistently, all of his crashes, he is able to switch completely and get up onto his knees and his wrist guards. Those wrist guards have a lot of plastic there, and he just slides, and he doesn't just slide like willy-nilly, like, you know, oh, wherever the wind takes me sort of thing. He actually controls where he slides, and he controls, like, you know, and he's able to see where he's going and have control over stuff, which is like amazing. It's like the best way to slide. I'm actually jealous because all of my training is to slam down onto my shoulder, roll onto my back, and, you know, high speed motorcycle crashes. And all of these crashes with EUCs, I've come to the conclusion that that way of crashing that I do is not ideal, that Roger's way might be a little bit better. And if Roger wore a little more gear on other spots on him, then he wouldn't even have any road rash or hardly any damage at all. A little more gear to cover those spots, along with his technique for sliding out all of that energy is just, that would be ideal, I think. The other good way of crashing that I've seen is like this guy, he wobbled out and he just landed directly on his knees, and just on his knees, he just kept sliding just on his knees until he stopped, and that was pretty amazing. So he didn't even get hurt at all. That was another really good way to crash. Ryan, he was locked into his wheel, locked in. So you see when he hits Roger, their wheels were like rim to rim. They got tangled. Their wheels got tangled. They were full-blown smash. And it's funny because Ryan smashes to the right and the wheels get tangled up. Roger's wheel starts wobbling and it's shuddering under this force over here. Roger frickin' leaps forward and then lands, and so he keeps his forward momentum where his wheel shoots off to the right into the cars. So that was another genius thing that Roger did, was he kept his forward momentum where it's clear, and his wheel shot off to the right, and Ryan shot off to the right where all the cars were within just a few feet. So Ryan smashes into the car. That's full blown, and you see the impact and you see the sudden stop. Sudden stop is what kills. Sudden stop, speed doesn't kill. Speed doesn't, it's not the speed, it's the sudden stop from speed. And Ryan had that, and I was so worried about him because that is like the worst thing that can happen to you. You want to dissipate that out like Roger was doing, not have the sudden stop. So the sudden stop means that all of that energy, all that energy that was propelling Roger so fast down the road, all of that was getting absorbed into Ryan. What saves him is that he crashed into the rear tire, rubber, instead of a metal pole, okay, that wouldn't have absorbed anything. A rubber tire would absorb something, and then his wheel absorbed some of it because that impacted, and then his shoes, but one shoe flew off, and then his legs, and your thighs hopefully have a bunch of muscle, and muscle can take up a lot of shock. And so once again, having footprint insoles or insoles, good shock absorbing insoles, good boots that don't come off when you crash, and it's just lots of shock absorption is good for these crashes. But yeah, so being locked into the wheel, I've proven it to myself, that can be very dangerous. That is how I seriously hurt my ankle, really, really bad, and that's why I was limping and I was gimpy for the last AVS race, and because my leg was completely like destroyed. From one of the contributing factors was having my legs so locked into the wheel that when I had a pedal clip, and with a pedal clip your wheel spins around so fast that just twisted my whole leg so bad. But in Ryan's case, he was locked in so bad, you actually see when they collide, Ryan practically falls off of his wheel. He's dangling behind, but his legs are still locked into that wheel, and that wheel's going that way. What if that wheel had, tried to tumble or anything, or what if it, if any time the wheel was going to drag him, it dragged him towards those cars. Otherwise, if he had been able to separate from the cars, he wouldn't be dragged along with that wheel, right into the cars. So I've proven it to myself that being super locked into your wheel is not a good idea, and I would definitely encourage that for other people. You want to be able to separate from the wheel. So I ride with a tether, but if you watch my tether video, I have multiple breakaways that, and time again, they've proven themselves to break away when they're supposed to, and there's never been an issue. Being locked into your wheel, you're not having much of a emergency breakaway. So there is that. All of the other gear that they were wearing is good. The wrist guards that Roger uses are just the free ones that E-Wheel sends with all of their wheels. So you don't need super fancy like the flex meters wrist guards. You don't need those. Roger uses the free ones from eWheels, but I mean, do whatever makes you feel good, and you can't ever say that you have too much protection. The funny thing about the EUCs is that, like with motorcycle crashes, I'm used to these super high speed, 100-mile-an-hour crashes, but in a way, those are almost nothing compared to EUC crashes, because at 100 miles an hour, you're guaranteed to slide. And just as long as you're not hitting anything and getting that sudden stop, then everything's fine. With EUCs, you're in that range where if you're going at the top speed of the EUC, then you'll get a chance to slide. But most people aren't, and if you're below that, then and you're surrounded by so much stuff all around you that you can hit into, these sudden stops will definitely hurt you. And sudden stops includes the ground. All right, so anything else we should talk about? I do want to say that we're sorry that this happened. Ryan is very apologetic to everyone involved, and he is doing his due diligence to make everything right by everybody. We all love him, and we appreciate that he's taking a good hard look at this, and he's not going to be riding like that again, and he's going to be thinking about how he rides in a group in the future. He was saying that he's not going to ride in a group, again, and I was like, you better come to my rides, because I still want him on my rides, just without that kind of behavior. And he knows, he feels really bad, but he's learning, and we can all learn from it, so it's all good. Everything will be healed, everything will be fixed, and don't be hating too much, because we're all human, and we're all in this together, and we all support and love each other. So anyways, I think that's it. Wear your gear, ride smart, don't be irresponsible and crazy and hot dogging it everywhere. I know, coming from me, right? But yeah, I've been busy with my motorhome, so and I've been kind of chillaxing on the whole group riding and hot dogging and all that stuff. So anyways, thanks for joining me. Add whatever comments you would like, any other tips, anything else that you saw in the video that you think that we should be talking about, sharing, all that good stuff. Let's talk about it, but keep it positive. Keep it what's it called, when it's useful and stuff, not berating, not negative, not angry, not don't I don't want to hear any of that. It's like, keep it what is that word, when you're being useful, constructive. Keep it constructive criticism, and let's all learn. All right, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.